I call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Start with roll call.
Commissioner Harnell.
Here.
Commissioner Lambert. Absent. Commissioner Twomey.
Here.
Commissioner Boyson.
Here.
Chair Aldridge.
Here. And we have the minutes of the Monday, January 25th meeting before us.
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes.
I'll support.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Oh, do we need to do roll call even on these?
We're here present, so.
Aye. We have the agenda for tonight's meeting before us.
I'll move the agenda.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? We have the February 2021 permit summary in front of us. Looks like we have a new housing start on Pine. Jay, anything else in here we really should take notice of?
No.
Just out of curiosity, is it a manufactured home coming in?
No, he's building a stick-built slab, on slab.
I like that better.
Yeah. He's gonna try to get a lot of stuff done before the road restrictions start, so.
Good.
And then I'm expecting one for Kirkus Street also here coming up.
Good. So is that the only building permit we have in front of us? It is. So we may have a dial-in at any time. We'll see how that goes as far as comments from citizens. And we're down to unfinished business. 14 3rd Street Garage, is there anything new there?
I think we're waiting for John to draft a,
John, anything
Letter.
new on the 14th 3rd Street Garage?
Nope.
210 South 2nd Avenue, a letter went out. So I don't know that we, sitting in this group, can order something to happen, but everything that we do in here is, goes across City Council's desk as when they approve our agendas or when they approve our minutes. So I think that's okay, but I think it is City Council that can order something like that, not us.
It's noted.
Temporary storage definition, we've got our current definition of a structure here. We had talked about city administration, our city attorney coming in with some other examples, but I don't see that. Do we have anything yet?
We do not. We did some just preliminary research from surrounding cities, and surprisingly, a lot of them do not have a definition for temporary storage.
Yeah, that is, yeah, I did the same thing. That's true.
So we've had the position that if somebody has a building permit and they need something temporary, that we've said, yeah, that's great. but we've never had a definition of it. Right now, we've got the structure that is, doesn't meet setback over near Jim's area, that is maybe temporary, and we don't have a definition of what that is, and with our current definition, we would just need to call that and anything similar to it a structure, and it would need to meet all setbacks.
That makes sense.
So temporary on our books right now is not there. So if it's a small shed that can be moved or whatever, it just needs to be called a structure and meet setback, unless we want to come up with something in here to change that.
Well, the problem with that is that lots of sheds that people buy and put in their backyards could be considered temporary. Those plastic sheds you buy at Menards or Home Depot, you put them up, they're easily moved.
Yes.
So at the very least, they ought to comply with the setback requirements. I think our position is that they're structures, whether temporary or not, and they got to comply with the setback requirements.
Jay, you want to have input on that?
No, I mean, other than, I mean, it talks about not collapsible.
And where are you reading from?
Well, the definition of a structure, anything not collapsible is the second line. So what people are gonna, people are gonna take that stand, so I can just take it apart and it's not a structure, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that holds true with a lot of the plastic sheds that,
And any of those canopy style deals that,
and then we had the same issue with the structure that brought this discussion on, where it could be disassembled with some difficulty and moved.
yep.
So do you think we ought to modify where it says not collapsible? Or do we just need to have a working definition that we can hold to as to what is collapsible and what is not? Jim, what are your thoughts on that?
I would think on these temporary, temporary collapsible fees.
Jim,
Pardon?
please move up to your mic.
I think that's really meant to address tents, things
The
like that.
collapsible should be more like these ones that are like a tent, a pipe tube frame and a canvas over the top. You can take that off and fold it up, and that's somewhat what I would say is more temporary.
Do we need to add language like that into our code to make it obvious? I mean, we're not using the term temporary here. The term was collapsible. Or anything not collapsible then becomes a structure and needs to meet the setbacks. And
You could even, as an example in that ordinance, to clarify what that means, is put parentheses and say, such as a tent, just in parentheses, so people know what we're driving at. That's what we consider collapsible, not a plastic structure that you put together with instructions. because that's not collapsible, you can take them apart. But we consider that a structure anyway.
Well, we would consider a plastic build-yourself shed to be a structure, and it would need to meet setback. Even if it doesn't need a building permit due to size. So would people like to see more language added in there as to what collapsible means, or would people rather see it so that it goes the other way and becomes more liberalized?
The one thing that not clarifying it a great deal would give you is flexibility. I mean, the city's responsible for interpreting what their ordinances mean, and unless it's an arbitrary and capricious interpretation, it's still a valid interpretation by the city. So the fact that this definition has some flexibility isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, we're just having trouble right now
Yeah,
with
right.
how to interpret it and where to draw the line for people that have already put up structures. Because I call them structures and other people don't. Jay, you have some idea what you'd like to see there?
I don't know, and I mean, I even look at that,
Are you guys looking in the packet? Is that in our packet, the wording that it exists now?
Yes.
yeah,
City of Proctor Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
I'm trying to find it. I didn't realize it was
It is page 14.
14. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. I looked at it like a month ago, but then I didn't bring my book with me,
Nope,
so.
it's online. Did you go on the City of Proctor website? Okay, and there should be a track 7 meeting link on it.
I see
No,
it.
just if
I
you
don't
can
know
find the
that
track
doc.
7 meeting link. Are you looking on your smartphone or on a laptop?
No, come on.
You can also go to just general YouTube. You would YouTube, and in the YouTube search, you would search track 7.
I wrote down a few things because I didn't realize it was in here because I just looked at 3 o'clock and realized that we had a meeting. So
Yep.
I didn't even know, and then I didn't know that it went on several pages. So I Googled up a few things that I had questions about and wrote down on a piece of paper, like what is temporary length of time? I thought we should decide at tonight's meeting, like what is temporary, define,
And I'm just
is it
talking-
90 days? Is it 180 days? What is temporary? And then setbacks, which I think it should meet setbacks unless it's in your driveway maybe. That's just me, if it sits in your driveway, then maybe it doesn't have to meet setbacks. Like, I don't know, that's just me throwing that out
And
there.
are you
I wrote down enforcement
searching track
also, like,
RAC?
I guess we make rules, but, someone's gonna have to enforce this, and then,
Yep.
like the size of structure I just wrote down, because, should there be a limit to the size of the temporary structure? And,
Right now, we don't have temporary in there anywhere. So it's just been things that we have allowed for short periods of time, such as while a person's building, doing remodeling, whatever, is where we've considered, where we have not enforced structure rules.
And I'm seeing it live.
I know
when
we,
go on
I
the
mean, we
page.
approved this language,
Go into- So when I went on the
whatever,
city
2, 3
website,
years ago, but,
hit-
I mean, I don't,
Okay.
You're having trouble working with it now, and so are we.
yeah, I mean, it says
Oh,
temporary
it says
storage bins or
125.
units
But
and the
meeting
like
is wrong.
are
If you
not
click on that,
considered
this is the
structures,
current meeting that we're on right now.
unless they meet applicable building codes, and you don't even need a building permit if you're putting up anything less than 200 square feet,
So if you go on,
or,
yes, if you go on the 125, it's just
you
mislabeled.
know, any of them shipping containers aren't technically
And our
probably,
discussion right now, Dan, is we're talking on the definition of a temporary
you know,
structure.
gonna have a building permit or whatever, so. So it's almost saying that they're not structures.
But a temporary storage container needs to have a conditional use permit unless it's being modified and it's no longer a storage unit, and then it would need a building permit. So, and we're still kind of working out our own thoughts on when do we give a conditional use permit and when we don't. So that's still difficult.
Can I, it's because I answer a lot of the phone calls when people call in. So, like, I think that was a really great point of putting a time limit on temporary. Like, I'll get people that'll say, I want to put up a little structure so I can park my side-by-side. It's going to come down in the spring. What do I need? And this one, it does clearly say which zones you need a conditional use permit for, in all zones except for industrial, for those temporary storage bins. So
Yes.
while I do agree that this is really, like, it's hard for me to read something like this when I'm getting all these questions from people, but then at the same time, I do like the flexibility when people are calling. And I like, for us, when we're answering the phones, it's a lot easier to get people pointed in a general direction of what they need to be able to provide for what they are attempting to do, I guess.
Okay, on temporary and collapsible, do people want to continue to work with this language or get something else in here that makes it easier to work with? Or just a further definition of collapsible?
If you do that, the problem you might run into is somebody saying, well, it doesn't meet any of these examples that you put in the code, or it doesn't meet the specific definition that you provided in the code, therefore it's not collapsible. Or therefore it is collapsible.
Right, so, yeah, the example we have has, has some wooded sections and it's screwed together, I assume, and therefore, is it no longer collapsible? And now it needs to meet the definition of a structure. And that was how I looked at it. Jay was looking for something clear for when he goes out and does his job.
If it were collapsible without the use of tools, or you just take it apart, don't have to use screwdrivers or wrenches or anything like that, then it's more collapsible by nature that way.
Well, then a plastic storage shed that you buy at a
Yeah, that
big
would-
box store would meet the definition, although they do screw together in general.
Yeah, I mean, I was never considering this collapsible, I was considering it temporary.
Right, and we have no language for temporary.
Well, it says temporary storage bins or units and the like are not considered structures unless they meet applicable building codes. Yeah.
I shouldn't have tried to do this on my phone, it times out all the time. But I didn't consider what I call a structure that's being used to house that trailer. I did not consider that temporary storage bin or unit and the like. I took that language to be like a shipping container. So I think that whole line there was pertinent only to shipping containers and that type of structure, if you will.
That's kind of the way I read it too. When I read that sentence, I think exactly like you, where I think of a steel shipping container. And I think his is different than that.
Yes.
And when I think collapsible, I think canvas in my mind, the canvas with aluminum pipes and not a plastic Rubbermaid 7x7, 7 feet tall shed. I don't know. That's why I wrote down, should there be a size limit? I don't know. I don't
Well, there
know.
probably should be, but
Well, I mean, maybe we should just leave it the way it is, and now that we,
if we agree on how to interpret it, then we can
right,
just leave it the way it is.
right. And then, I mean, what we're saying, I guess, is if it is that fabric canvas thing, then you can put it wherever you want on your property?
Or however long you want and however big you want.
Right. What's the difference,
Yeah.
You can't see through them either.
Well, temporary or permanent should still meet all setbacks.
Well, that's not what we just said, that a fabric thing is collapsible, so it
So
doesn't.
somebody could put up a big tent and just leave it there forever, according to what we have on the rules right now.
Right.
See, that's where I think it should have a time limit, me personally, that it should come down at some point if it's truly temporary. And I went to Becker. I don't know if it's Minnesota Becker or somewhere else. I can't seem to find it, but they have something about storage containers here, and the only place you could put them is in their driveway, and then they specify like 60 calendar days per year is what they have right here for a shipping container in their yard. And I don't know, I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I would like to see, I don't know if it's a half a year, what's winter, October to April, seems pretty reasonable to me, however many days that is. More than 120, 150, I don't know.
Was it Hermantown that ran into it with the
dome thing, the
With the-
volleyball?
with the volleyball dome? And they have language now so that they had language even then, so it had to come down at least twice a year, something like that. And we do not have anything covering that kind of structure. So right now, if somebody put up a giant tent in their yard, it could stay there indefinitely. So is that what we've got? Yeah. Do you want to see language that prevents that kind of thing from happening? If so, we could ask city attorney to, I don't know, should we ask city council first if they're in agreement that we should have something covering temporary collapsibles, and then get something written up and get in the code?
Could you just, the fact that we couldn't find similar language in other cities, maybe you just consider everything a structure. And if they wanted something else, then you take it up as a conditional use. And then you can put your conditions and your restrictions and your number of days and your materials all in that conditional use, rather than trying to think of every scenario.
Yep.
That's probably a good idea. So then we just have to eliminate the
eliminate the problem language.
Yeah, which is basically the not collapse, you know, the collapsible. I like that idea.
So Jay, you would like to see those 3 words struck out of here?
Should we
4
rewrite
words?
it? I'm sorry, Chair. Should we rewrite it and then bring it back for one final reading and see how it sits with you?
Yeah, I mean, really, if you just got rid of or anything not collapsible. Is my opinion, but whatever.
And it already addresses the storage units need a conditional use permit anyways, regardless of collapsible or not.
Yes.
So then that'll just mean everything,
Everything needs a permit that way.
yep. Zoning permit anyways.
Yes. Would you like to get that back on paper and then vote, or do you want to make the recommendation now? It's pretty, John Bradis look pretty straightforward to
Pretty
you?
simple.
So we should probably get somebody to move it, and then it could go to council without having to wait another whole month for it to come back through here.
I'll motion that we present that to council with the, or anything not collapsible eliminated from the definition.
And do we have support?
I'll support.
Further discussion on the motion?
What is the motion now?
We're to eliminate the collapsible language out of the ordinance altogether.
Okay.
So if they're putting something up, it's a structure.
So it's one other hurdle to go, not to go over then, yeah.
One more thing for us not to be confused about. Any more discussion? Probably do a roll call on this one.
Commissioner Harnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambert, absent. Commissioner Twamy,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyson,
Yes.
Chair Aldridge.
Yes. Jess or Megan, if I showed up with my laptop instead of a 4-inch cell phone, would you simply give me a password and then I'd be on the internal network? I thought I could do this tonight, but it times out. It does funny things.
Want my hard copy?
I'm good.
I don't need it.
I'm back up to where I want to be. If I get in trouble, I'll let you know.
Well, you certainly can.
We've got the home occupation permits in front of us. Thank you.
There's one new one in there for this year on Oak Street. It's gonna be a hair salon. I visited the property and went over all kind of the regulations and whatnot with her, and I would support approval of it.
We did receive her workers' comp, I just got it later today. It's not included. We do have that as well, or her exemption.
Have we had any complaints about the other businesses over the course of the past year?
Not to my knowledge.
Is this something we could approve with one motion, or do you need a separate motion for each?
I think you could probably get away with just one motion as long as you're not treating one of the other applications any differently.
Okay.
And then what, it's just a recommendation to council, right? I'll make a motion, we recommend approval of all the home occupation permits submitted before us today.
Do we have support?
I'll support that.
Any further discussion? And let's go to a roll call again.
Sure. Commissioner Harnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Twamy,
Here, yes.
Commissioner Boyson,
Yep.
Chair Aldridge.
Yes. Jay, do we still have that gun business? No longer a permit. I don't know if it still exists or not.
I really don't know. I think he's maybe has some health issues, so he's probably really not doing anything anymore.
I don't think it ever caused much traffic, not
No.
that I was ever aware of.
No.
Although one of his customers did rear into my car one day, but outside of that, you wouldn't know it was there.
Yeah, they're just kind of in their own little.
I had spoken with
World.
him, he said he was still doing it, I just didn't receive his permit back.
If that's the case, maybe we should.
Maybe there should be an inquiry.
Either that or just send him a letter or something.
Yeah.
And
Phone or
just
letter.
tell him that we.
If he's still having a home occupation, please get his application in. Here, I can actually turn to the page now. We're down to member concerns.
I got just one thing I just want to discuss with the commission is that lot, the corner lot on Third Avenue and 7th Street where the Chauvin's old church house was there. Is everyone familiar with that one? I mean, there's been a lot of inquiries about it, and now it's finally sold as of Friday. And it's really, being a corner lot, people call me and they ask me what the setbacks are, and I give them, and it really, really restricts people what they can do. I guess one of my questions is, how do we decipher if the address is going to be 7th Street or 3rd Avenue? Is that up to the homeowner? Or is it the way their house sits? Or is it what? How do we decide that?
I thought it was where your front door was, and I thought the homeowner just it's living here, and that's what I thought it was.
Well, yeah, you could have a door on both,
Right.
3rd Avenue and 7th
You could
Street.
pick,
Yeah.
and I've heard people did pick this from my dad talking, because they didn't want to pay assessments on, this road. They'd rather be their front on this road because they wouldn't have to pay and I don't know if that was true or not, because I was young, but I remember certain people changing their front door just so they didn't have to pay assessments, like on apartment buildings or something in Proctor. I do remember that, but I don't know if that's true or not, and if that's even was legal or.
I think there are firm rules on how you do the assessments. as to which road is which. But I don't know that that has anything to do with street address. Street address is more of a postal issue, my understanding.
Right, but I mean, it changes the setbacks. If they want their address to be 7th Street, then the rear yard is
We went
to
through
their
all-
neighborhood.
When the manufacturer homes went in on Second Avenue, we had to go through all those rules because the front of the structure was determined to be on 14th, or whatever it is there, and not on Second Avenue. And we had to go through all of that, and we kind of got, people crabbed at us because, wow, those places are way too close to Levake. Well,
Right.
they're not technically on Levake,
Right.
they're on the street. So,
But to me, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, but. So who picked their address? The homeowners did then? Because the front door to me on all them houses is facing Second Avenue.
yeah, but technically they aren't.
Right. No, right.
Right, and John Brady, remember just how that was decided? We didn't decide it in here.
I do not. You recall when?
It was before my time.
It was before my time too, but I do remember all that and it being in the Proctor Journal, with editorials and so forth. But it was before my time too, just right before it. I would say 2005 or 6.
I mean, for most of the people that I talked to, they wanted 7th Street to be their address, the front of their house, so they have more width. But then that gives them a 25-foot rear setback, so they have to be 25 feet from the neighboring house to the south. Whereas if you had a 3rd Avenue address, they can be 6 feet off that property line. But they just couldn't get the width because you got the 20-foot setback on a quarter lot and all this other.
I think there's a rule in the code somewhere on how you can do that.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of it, I guess. What do you mean, how you can do what?
What is considered your front yard and so on.
There is an ordinance on that, yeah.
All right.
I remember
I think we should find that then.
Yeah, we'll have to do more digging and see if I can find something that'll explain it better. But I just wanted to be prepared if somebody starts asking a little harder questions on it.
And that'd be good if they did. Be good if we had interest.
And I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page so we don't.
Yeah, I know people crabbed at me when the manufactured homes went in up there. But they met all the rules to have their frontage on the street and not on the avenue.
Yep. Well, if anyone's got some dead time and want to do some reading, they can find it, let us know.
I don't have access without coming to City Hall anymore, so. Would be nice if we could get all that stuff online again.
We're getting closer and closer to the recodification.
That'd be a
So
good
it'll-
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it was bad when I gave out bad information, but it was also really good that I could inspect it at home. Anything else tonight?
A motion, we adjourn?
I'll support.
I think we can do this by voice. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We're done.